Hey guys, welcome to the Ramsey Paul Show. It is Friday. I hope you guys all had a great week, and it's August the 8th. And as always, I go over the top 5 news stories of the day. It's always hard to choose just the 5. There's always so much going on. If you like these shows, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. I really do appreciate it. All right, let's get into business. The first story is actually kind of a white pill. I'm not sure if I really believe in the concept of karma. Isn't that a Buddhist concept? I think that if you do bad things will happen to you. And if you do good things will happen to you. I don't know. I've seen a lot of good people, a lot of bad things happen to. A lot of evil people have a lot of good things. So I'm not sure I believe in karma. I'm a Christian. I do believe in a judgment, but I don't know in this life if you really see it. But I want to believe in it. And there's a case that we could have some karma, and that has to do with this obnoxious DEI hire in New York, the Attorney General Letitia James. Letitia James, I first was aware of her not through her prosecution of Trump, and we'll get to that, but she went after the VDARE organization. And if you're not familiar with VDARE, I believe Peter Bremlow started VDARE in the 90s, maybe even earlier than that. And he lived in New York at the time, and they incorporated the organization in the state of New York. And VDARE is not like a real radical group. They just were calling for immigration reform, because even back in the 90s, they could see the problem of our open borders and how we need to change that. Now this is kind of mainstream. Donald Trump's always talking about it. JD Vance, Elon Musk. Most people know about the issue now. So it's not even really that controversial. But at the time when VDARE started, it wasn't that controversial. People could have different ideas back then. We were a free country. But then our country got really woke, especially after around Obama and all that era. And VDARE was attacked by Letitia James. And again, VDARE at that point had moved. They lived in West Virginia, but their company, their corporation, the LLC, was still in the state of New York. So Letitia James went after the corporation, and she demanded all this information. They give all their subscriber list, all their writers, and there was never a charge. They were never charged with any wrongdoing, VDARE, but Letitia James was doing what's called lawfare. And lawfare is where the richer party, in this case, the state of New York, because they have unlimited funds, they keep hassling you and driving up your expenses. And even if you're right, there's nothing you could do. Eventually they bankrupt you. And that's what Letitia James, was doing with VDARE. And they had to shut down just, I think this year is really sad. So I guess she got her victory. But she was also recently, she went after Donald Trump. Remember that? Because she was unhappy with his views. So she went after him. And that's not what an attorney general is supposed to do. You're not supposed to bring your politics into it. You're just supposed to enforce the laws. But Letitia James, she's not about that. She's about all just political power. And now it's coming back potentially to bite her. So let's just take a look at this. I saw this update on Fox News, and we'll just take a look at a little bit about this.
Sources are telling us that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office are under investigation by the Department of Justice in relation to her case against President Trump.
Whoa, look at her. She looks like one of those girls I've seen on a Carnival cruise. You know, one of those viral videos where they're throwing chairs by the pool. I think I've seen her. Letitia, were you on a Carnival cruise?
Justice correspondent David Spunt is in Washington. What do you know, David?
Well, hi, Dana. Two well-placed sources familiar with the probe tell Fox News that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office is under investigation by the DOJ here in Washington. We're told that Attorney General Pam Bondi signed off on the probe. Subpoenas were sent to James's office, and there is a grand jury investigation underway in the New York State capital of Albany. the specific investigation, my colleague Jake Gibson, Ashley Oliver, and myself are being told involves deprivation of rights, which in plain language means someone in a position of legal authority violating someone else's constitutional or legal rights. Those sources tell Fox News the DOJ is going after James because she took then former President Donald Trump to court, quote, simply because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him. DOJ, led by Bondi, believes she violated his First Amendment rights dealing with free speech. James has said before she believed Trump in.
So we won't watch this whole video, but you can't do that. In America, we have free speech, and it's not the proper conduct of an attorney general to go after someone just because you don't like what they say. And Letitia James, she already had a history of doing that with VDARE, but then she went after Donald Trump. But if you go after someone big like Donald Trump, you better win. If you're going to go after the king, you better not miss your shot, because Trump's now back in power, and Bondi now is doing an investigation on Letitia James. Oh, how the tables have turned, how they've turned. Now Letitia James is having to provide all this information. Letitia James is having to lawyer up. This is great. And we'll see what the grand jury says. Typically, grand juries, they just pass on everything. It's just a grand jury is to say, okay, is there enough evidence for this to go to a real trial? It's not guilt or innocence. It's just like, yeah, there's enough guilt here, and we think this should proceed. So I'd love to see Letitia James arrested, and I would love to see this go to court and people be held accountable for civil rights violations. It's kind of funny because we always think civil rights violations now, because of our brainwashing in the public schools and media. You think of in Birmingham, Alabama in the 50s and police dogs. But really, civil rights violations are just if you prevent someone from exercising their constitutional rights in America, like freedom of speech or freedom of religion. I've often said groups like the SPLC and ADL, they could be attacked legally for violating people's civil rights because they try to push that down. They try to intimidate people. And in this case, it was the state of New York. They're arguing the government. She misused her power to try to attack someone, not because there was anything that was any legal wrongdoing. She just didn't like what they had to say. And she's not very bright. I doubt she has a 3-digit IQ, but she was kind of a pawn of other people under the Biden administration to try to stop Donald Trump from running again. That was the whole point. And so I think this is good news. And I would love to see her pay the penalty for her crimes. We will see if that happens, but I'll give that a white pill for this Friday. Letitia James is under investigation by the federal government for civil rights violations. And by the way, if she's found guilty, I hope people like Peter Brimlows, they can sue Letitia James personally for civil damages, and potentially the state of New York for gross misconduct. We will see. I don't know. That may be hard to collect against the state, but I would like to see that. All right. The number 2 big story, and I know I talked about this a little bit yesterday, so I'm not going to harp on this, but this is still a huge story. This is the Trump meeting with Putin, maybe as early as next week. There's been a lot of leaks, and one of the leaks says that Putin tells Trump he'll halt war in exchange for Eastern Ukraine. And I don't know if the source is right, because we get a lot of fake news, but supposedly Putin told Witkoff, which is the aide or that Trump is Trump's personal lawyer he sent to Russia. They're good friends to negotiate. And supposedly Putin told Witkoff that he would agree to a complete ceasefire if Ukraine agreed to withdraw all its forces from the eastern Donbass region. And so I don't know if that's true or not, although that's always been the Russian objective. Is I think there's 4 regions that are in question, maybe 5. There's the Donbass region, which is composed of a couple of what we would like call states in the United States, and Crimea, which Russia has, And Russia's position all along, that was always their territory. The people voted to be part of Russia. Ukraine said, no, that was a fraudulent vote, and you just can't take our territory. It's a little bit more complicated, but that's the crux of it. And I think the reason this came to a head, that they're planning to have a summit, it wasn't Putin that was asking for it, because Putin's fine. The Russian economy is doing well. They got good trading partners like India and China, and the war is going well for them. They're winning. They're taking over key cities. They're not moving real fast. You could argue they're taking a lot of casualties, but they are winning. And Ukraine is running out of men and weapons, and we only have so many weapons to get. So Trump, based on the advice of the neocons like Lindsey Graham, said, okay, the way we do this is we got to put more sanctions on Russia. But the problem is we almost can't put more sanctions on Russia because they're already at max. What are we going to do? So they had the idea of doing what's called secondary sanctions, meaning we tell every country, if you trade with Russia or buy their oil or gas, unless we give you an exemption, we're going to put like 100% tariff on you. And we were targeting specifically China and India because they're the biggest trading partners with Russia, especially with their energy products. And so Trump said a few weeks ago, Putin had to end the war by yesterday, August 7th. And if he didn't, then today, Friday, August 8th, there would be bone-crushing sanctions on not only Russia, but these secondary countries. And that was the term Lindsey Graham used. Lindsey Graham really pushed this idea. But the problem with this is India and China called Trump's bluff. They said, no, we're not going to change that for a couple of reasons. It's not your place to tell us what we're going to do, who we're going to trade with. That's not up to you, United States. And the second reason is we're dependent upon the trade of Russia. India was saying they get a lot of oil from Russia. So does China. And so they said, no, we're not going to do that. I mean, if you put tariffs on us, you can, but there's going to be other problems there. So they called Trump's bluff, and it is a bluff because it's a tough situation. Trump did put tariffs on India, but as I said yesterday, most of the tariffs, there's a lot of exemptions. So it's not up for like IT or call centers. There's a lot of exemptions. There's a lot of loopholes in the tariffs with India. And China has done nothing because China has a lot of cars. We buy a lot of stuff from China. And the big problem with China is they have a lot of rare earth minerals that they process that we use to create a lot of high-tech stuff, including missiles. And we no longer process those rare earths. We used to, but we outsourced that all because of globalization and all that jazz. So now we're dependent upon China. So China, they can make life very difficult for us, saying, well, we'll do a couple things. We won't send you any more consumer goods. So pretty soon your Walmart will be empty. And we're not going to give you rare earth materials, so you can't build more missiles and stuff. So this whole outsourcing thing was just really crazy, and it was doomed to failure. So we don't really have any cards to play against India and China, and I think India and China know that. So Trump, trying to save face, decided he sent Witkoff to Moscow saying, hey, let's have a summit. Let's talk. And I think Putin's like, okay, I'm always willing to talk. It's good optics. But what are they going to talk about? Because Putin's winning. They're pretty insistent. They want the Donbass and Crimea. They're almost got the Donbass. They're winning on the battlefield. They're pretty happy with how things are going. So what can Trump really offer? According to that story, a lot of leaks, Trump's prepared to offer, well, how about if you keep the Donbass, we'll just end the war then, something like that. But Ukraine and Europe will never agree to that. Specifically, Zelensky won't. So even if Trump makes an agreement with Putin, Europe and Zelensky is saying, hey, this is our war. How can you make an agreement for us? You can't do that. And so that's going to be the problem. And so it could be a strategy. There's a couple ideas what's happening here. One idea that I'm hopeful for is this is a face-saving way for Trump to finally get out of this mess. He should have done this at the day one of his presidency, but whatever. He tried to negotiate this. But now this gives him a way to say, hey, I met with Putin. We worked out a deal, but Zelensky in Europe failed to agree to the terms of the deal. I tried my best. This is the best deal Ukraine's going to get. They could all be conquered. So we're done now. We're not going to be sending any more weapons or anything like that to Ukraine. I hope that's the case. Some people are more cynical or saying this is just a way to further escalate so Trump can say, hey, I tried to work things out with Putin, but he's just not reasonable. But I tried. So I hope that's not the case. I think we'll see pretty soon what will happen. But again, I don't really see us having many cards in this situation. We don't have the industrial capacity to give many more weapons. Even if we gave Ukraine weapons, they're lacking men. There's no will to send our troops in to fight World War III. And I don't think it'd be a good idea to fight World War III against Russia and China when we're so dependent upon China for the rare earth minerals to build these weapons. And for nuclear weapons, we're dependent for enriched material. We don't do that anymore in the United States. Guess where we buy a lot of enriched uranium? Yeah, from Russia. We still do. So we're in a bad situation there, and hopefully Trump will use the situation to wash his hands of this matter. So that is what's there. All right, the number 3 story it's kind of a funny one. It's for whatever is happening. Well, let me just show you here. I guess women play professional basketball. I was vaguely aware of some sort of thing that they do this. It's kind of ridiculous. And it's usually, I just saw kind of lesbians that play, right? But I guess they got a girl that actually likes boys and she's white. I think this is her. So that created supposedly a lot of excitement in the league. I don't really think there's that much. But anyway, the problem is in the WNBA, there have fans, or at least some of them, there's been 6 incidents where they're throwing dildos on the court. I don't know. Why do they have a dildo? But they're throwing it on the court. I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent. But this is becoming a whole like, oh my God, this is misogynist. Oh, but see, it doesn't even make a lot of sense because who do they think are throwing these dildos on the court? Do they really think like there's a bunch of Trump supporting rednecks that go to the WNBA games? I don't think so. I think their clientele, until recently, I thought, honestly, they're mostly all lesbian women. There's not that many. So I don't really even know who goes to these games. So it's not like Trump supporters throwing dildos on the court. And I'm not sure why they're doing it. Are they mad about that girl that's in the NBA now that likes boys, or because she's white, or is it? It could be just something that's a viral thing they're trying to get going on. There was something similar. I'm old enough to remember. I don't know if you guys are, in the 70s and 80s. There was a phenomenon called streakers. The streaker, you don't hear about that anymore, but it's when someone would get all naked and run across the football field and it'd disrupt the game. And I think they even wrote a song about a streaker once too. And the way they got rid of that from doing that is the TVs decided if you jump on the field and do that, they're not going to show you on TV because they wanted attention and they got attention from the TV. This is before social media where things would go viral. So it was kind of like the old school way of going viral. It's like, oh, look at me. Yeah, that's my bare ass running around on the field. Aren't I cool? I don't know. But that ended. So I think if they just didn't really show these incidents, I think it'd pretty much end because people want to do it and goes viral and all that type of stuff. So I don't know, but this is a big thing. They're all clutching their pearls saying how, oh, what a misogynist country we have under Trump. Like it. Yes, it's a bunch of MAGA guys going to WNBA games. Yeah, I don't really think so. That is pretty crazy. So that was a number 3 story. And the number 4 story, I'll show you here. We'll go back to Pam Bondi. She's been in the news a lot today. Busy blonde girl here. She's getting ready for her Fox News thing when she goes back on the Fox News. Here we go.
Today, the Department of Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. Maduro uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA, Sinaloa, and Cartel of the Suns to bring deadly drugs and violence into our country. To date, the DEA has seized 30 tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself, which represents a primary source of income for the deadly cartels based in Venezuela and Mexico. Cocaine is often laced with fentanyl, resulting in the loss and destruction of countless American lives. The DOJ.
Is that true? I don't know. I don't do cocaine, but is it laced with fentanyl? I never knew that.
Has seized over $700 million of Maduro-linked assets, including 2 private jets, 9 vehicles, and more. Yet Maduro's reign of terror continues. He is one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to our national security. Therefore, we've doubled his reward to $50 million. Under President Trump's leadership, Maduro will not escape justice, and he will be held accountable for his despicable crimes. If you have any information to bring this criminal to justice, call 1-202-307-4228 or go online.
What, if we're supposed to see him like in a Mexican restaurant, we're supposed to call that in? I don't really get that. Maduro, I guess, is the head of Venezuela, and the timing was strange. Supposedly we're doing this because he's dealing drugs. Maybe he does. But this announcement came just a day after Maduro labeled Israel an enemy of the world, claiming that today's Israel is not governed by the original 12 tribes, but fake Jews. He also accused modern Israel of being a Zionist project aimed at dominating the entire Middle East. So he said that, right? So then a day later, the United States came out, we're upping the award against Maduro. $50 million, if you can, leading to the arrest of the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. So I don't know how much of it was because of the drugs versus other things, but it'd have to make you wonder a little bit for that. And a couple of things, getting back to our best little friends here. Let me just show you this. This would be news story number 4. And let's see here. Let me bring that up. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's being attacked by Apac. Apac is an Israeli, they claim to be American, but they fund American politicians to vote for Israeli interest. And so they're, I would say, a foreign organization. And what happened, they got really triggered because Marjorie Taylor Greene put this sign on her door: no foreign lobbying. If you enter this office seeking funds on behalf of a foreign nation, you may be in violation of whatever law, American first. And she was saying the APAC got really upset with her about that because although they have loopholes where they say they're not a technical foreign lobby because they use Americans, but they're a foreign lobby. They lobby on behalf of Israel, and they own a lot of our politicians. And again, I have no problem with Israel per se. I have problems with any country that buys our politicians. And they've always done this for a long time, but it used to be more discreet, keep it on the down low. It's kind of like in the old days, where the mafia had a lot of control of New York City, but they kept it on the down low. Whereas now they just pretty much openly brag about it. And it's just really crazy to what degree. If you take a look at this here, 20 House Republicans were brought to Israel by AIPAC this week, and 20 Democrats. So this isn't Republican or Democrat. They buy politicians on both sides. And here's the people that went. They were paid with foreign money to go to Israel. And, they're not just sent there because to get a nice trip. They're expected to work on the behalf of a foreign nation. And they had a group photo here. It's kind of amazing. You think they'd have a little bit of shame, right? I mean, every one of these people should be removed for office. I think this is treason, honestly. You're expected to go there, though, and kiss the wall and promise you'll put Israel before America. And it's a problem. It's a real problem we have in this country. We have a few politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to fight against it, but it's very hard because they have a lot of power. They give a lot of money, and they can blackmail you. And their friends in the media can start these campaigns saying you're anti-Semite because you don't want to support Israel, and they can make life very difficult for you. But it's almost like we don't control our government. I mean, this is just outrageous. And again, this has nothing to do per se with Israel. I would feel this way if like Hungary was doing this, like all our politicians had to go to Budapest and take a group photo and pledge loyalty to Hungary. I would be opposed to that. And I like Hungary. So whoever's doing this is just wrong. But this is what is happening right now. So it is pretty bad on that. All right, so let's see here. Do we have, let's see here. Did we have our stories here? I think we've been through the 5 stories. Kind of got mixed up today. I had a lot of stuff going on here. So I'll just do this one. I guess this is good news. This is another ad by Sydney Sweeney. Let me show you guys this.
Is that Sydney Sweeney? Oh yeah, it is. She really loves our rainbow sherbet. She comes here all the time. Wait, seriously? Hey Sydney, your signature scoop is ready.
Thank you.
What? That's so cool. Yeah. It can be.
Summer's looking sweet at Baskin Robbins.
So, whatever. This years ago, it wouldn't be remarkable. You have some blonde actress doing an ad, but we went through such a woke period where they wouldn't have an attractive blonde actress on. Always some obese woman of color, or maybe a dude pretending to be a woman like Dylan McVaney or whatever. That American Eagle, they went ahead and they got Sydney Sweeney to do an ad about jeans, and it triggered a lot of the leftists because, oh, how dare you have an attractive white woman in an ad? And American Eagle, they didn't back down. They still supported her. And now we have Baskin Robbins has hired her. So this is a difference in the culture. Companies are starting to realize it's not evil to have white people in ads, because I've noticed that I get Netflix with my phone service. And so when I watch something on Netflix, every ad is black. And I'm not joking. Sometimes you get a white woman, but she's with a black guy. You just don't have a pretty white woman anymore. And so it's really refreshing to see this. And it's, I think it's a good change that we're seeing. Now, some people, whenever you have a woman that's attractive, you're going to get a lot of pushback by other women. And I found this one kind of ironic here. This to see here. This woman here on the left, Rachel Beitkofer, she's an American writer in political science, is under fire for calling actress Sydney Sweeney a butterface. A butterface, if you don't know, that means it's someone that has a great body, but her face is bad. Rachel, no offense, is probably not in any position to be attacking anyone's looks. This is how a lot of women are. And Sydney Sweeney, I mean, you could debate some women are prettier than her. I get it. I'm not going to get in those debates, but she's, in my opinion, an objectively attractive woman. And if you want to nitpick or whatever, but Rachel here is not in the position to attack Sydney Sweeney, but it's kind of funny how that has happened. So guys, anyway, I hope everything's well with you. It was a good show today. Again, I had some, right before the show, some stuff was going on, but I appreciate you being here. And I hope you have a great weekend. I plan to continue to make videos over the weekend. So I hope you enjoy them and like and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.